this next portion of the show is going to be our top 10 movies of 2018. And how we're going to handle this is we'll just do a kind of a roundtable session here. We'll go through our 10s, our 9s, obviously down the list. And just like the video games, is it safe to say number one movie is the best movie of 2018 for you guys?
Yeah, I would say that.
I'll get to it.
Okay. So that being said, I think we should just jump to it. We got a lot to get through here. And we're going to start with our number 10. And we'll take turns lifting off numbers here, but I'll start us off with number 10. This one was, I was struggling to find a number 10 that I really felt good about. And this one, we didn't talk about on a podcast, so I think we did a Smash Extra, but it was Bad Times at the El Royale.
Wow.
Really?
Yeah. Okay. From everything else I saw this year, like that one was just edgy enough, and actually, I know you guys have your thoughts, but it was just different enough for me compared to everything else I saw this year. And I actually enjoyed majority of the movie.
All right, so I'm going to have to go next because that was my number 10.
Okay, that's good.
I actually really like this one. I thought it was different enough that there's just so much going on. Mm-hmm. And it had the going back. You have to go back for something to make sense. I like this one. It was a good movie.
I wanted to like it so much more than what I ended up liking it. It seemed convoluted for like no real good reason besides to just be different. There were, I don't know. I won't shit on your number 10 too much, but yeah, it has one of my favorite scenes in it for sure. The one where it's Jeff Bridges and the singer, where she's singing and he's digging to the beat.
That was awesome.
One of my favorite scenes.
That was
by
awesome.
far. Yeah, it's so good.
Very good.
Did you see that movie?
No, I did not, so I can't comment on that one.
That was a good
I've
one.
heard good things, but I heard it was a little bit convoluted. So, my top 10 actually just snuck in last night, actually. Was Sorry to Bother You. But that's, I mean, honestly, it's interchangeable with about 4 other movies that I saw this year. So it's left a lasting enough impression, and it's probably the most recent one I saw. So it's a dark comedy that just goes off the rails in the third act, like completely off the rails, like insanely off the rails.
You would not be able to predict anything that happens in the last half hour of this fucking movie.
And honestly, I can't describe it well enough to actually tell you what happened.
Or if you do describe it, people won't watch it.
No,
they really won't.
But suffice to say, watch it because the first 3/4 of this movie are a really good dark comedy. Mm-hmm. And what is his name? Lakeith.
Don't ask me.
I can't remember.
He's from Get Out.
Yeah,
in Atlanta. That's what I know him from.
Lakeith something or other, and I can't remember what his last name is, and I feel terrible about it because he's really good in this movie. And the supporting cast, Tessa Thompson's in it. She's really good. Armie Hammer's in it.
Yeah.
And Armie Hammer
He's amazing in this.
Fucking great. And I don't like Armie Hammer.
Yeah. Like, imagine one of the Winklevoss twins, but turned up to, like, 100. It's crazy. Like, the most douchiest douche.
Winklevi twins on epic amounts of cocaine.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
But watch the movie. It's really good. And I think it's like, it comes in under 2 hours. It's a pretty quick movie.
Yeah.
And it flies by.
Yeah. If you like artistic comedies, this is definitely one of them. It kind of reminds me of like a Charlie Kaufman movie a little bit. Kind of like a Being John Malkovich or Adaptation, anything like that.
I think what really threw me off originally was that you have to realize it's set in like an alternative like timeline of Oakland. Mm-hmm. Like, if you don't realize that it's not the same world that we live in, like, you're gonna go off the rail. You're like, you're gonna be like, what the fuck are they even talking about? Why are there only like 3 channels on the TV?
Right.
Like stupid shit like that.
That was one of my funniest scenes of the year. It's not in my top 10. It was my number 12 because I made a top 12.
Yeah.
And when he's rapping at that party, so fucking
I felt
good.
so awkward that whole time. But like, you just sit there and as he's saying it, you're just like, oh, that's exactly what they're wanting. Yeah. And I feel really bad.
Yep.
Like, that's exactly, like, you have to just watch the movie.
Yeah.
It's on Hulu. If you have Hulu, watch it.
It's not Tim and Eric, but it has kind of that type of style, but fucking weird.
There's a lot of shit going on in the background.
Yeah.
There's a lot of
It's a smart Tim and Eric, John. How about that?
There's no such thing as a smart Tim.
I was going to
Now
say
there is.
So it's definitely better than Tim and Eric.
I think so, too.
I hated Tim and Eric, and this movie I really enjoyed.
I mean, it's no Crimbus, but...
No, what?
Well, all right, what's your
no
number?
Crimbus.
Let's get off that. What's your number 10 there, Jake?
Okay. Yeah, I, again, was switching these off and on, and at the very last minute, I decided to put Avengers Infinity War in my top 10, at number 10.
Wow.
Just because I think it's so impressive what Marvel did through, like, I think up to 18 movies. This was number 19. how they were able to balance every single ingredient that they've mixed together in this fucking MCU stew. And it turned out really good. And I think this is kind of our Empire Strikes Back of our time, just because it leaves us on a cliffhanger.
Could be.
But I still think the movie as a whole is really fucking solid, and it leaves the villain the winner at the end, which is so fucking cool. Like, when it was just him sitting down and then credits, oh man, it was good.
Still sits with me.
The snap is one of the best things that happened in 2018 as well. So memorable. I have good things to say about it, and I know that like hoity-toity people don't like to have like superhero movies in their top 10, but I think this was good enough to crack into mine.
I don't understand why.
I don't either.
Like, some of them deserve it. Dark Knight deserves it.
Yeah.
Like,
Another one that'll come up later will deserve it.
well, absolutely. It will deserve where
Daredevil, Ben Affleck deserves it.
obviously deserves it. That's the reason that nobody puts them in their top 10s is because
that's why.
so much shit has come out.
Shaquille O'Neal and Steel.
Well, obviously.
Damn good.
Well, I mean, it's no Shazam, but
It's definitely no Shazam.
Kazam, sorry.
All right, so
Shazam is yet to be seen.
should we throw it back to Jake for number 9s?
Yeah.
Going in order?
Oh, okay, I'll do that. I think this is a movie that none of you guys have seen. It's not really getting a lot of love anywhere. Like, it wasn't nominated for a Golden Globe or anything. My number 9 is First Man.
Oh.
First
Very
Man
good.
is pretty damn solid. I had a really good time watching this in the theater. It's just I don't think people liked Ryan Gosling's portrayal of Neil Armstrong because he plays him very robotic. But he's emotionless for a reason, and it's in the movie. Claire Foy plays his wife, and it's one of the best performances I've seen this year.
Claire Foy?
Yeah.
Nice.
She's awesome in this movie. Everybody's really good in this movie, and it just kind of tells you what happened during the space race in the 60s and how kind of fucked up everything was, how crazy of a scenario we had to be in the 60s to do what we did.
And how they had to do math on the fly, like in the actual cockpit of the rockets and shit like that.
Right.
It's all insane, and it all crescendos into this ending that is pretty spot on, just fucking quiet, lets you think about everything that's going on. I liked it quite a bit. It's my number 9, First Man.
Very good.
Damien Chazelle makes good movies.
He sure does, doesn't he?
I didn't like La La Land very much, but
Whiplash.
Whiplash is one of the best movies in the last 5 years. Mm-hmm. It is so good.
All right, Kevin, what's your number 9?
My number 9 is Isle of Dogs.
Nice.
Because you should rewatch it, and as soon as you rewatch it, you will like it a lot more.
That's one of my biggest misses this year because I really want to see that.
We went to the theater to see it.
Yep.
And I think it was only released in like 2 theaters around here.
Yeah, we have like an
was
artsy
very
theater on
limited.
the
Yeah,
floor.
it was a very limited release, but the voice acting is great. And it's Wes Anderson, so the visuals are going to hold up.
Yeah.
I really liked it.
I love Fantastic Mr. Fox, and I just could not get into Isle of Dogs at all.
It gets better the second view.
I'm
That'll
excited. I'm
never
excited to
happen.
watch it. It's one I just, like I said, missed, but the animation looked good to me.
Animation is awesome.
And anything,
Animation is stellar.
a good movie that's not a throw away your money for a good feels, like a classic dog movie. Like this was like a cool interpretation.
Oh, this had all those feels.
Did it?
Oh, the little boy, the little Japanese boy.
Yeah, I will
and
say that.
All the things.
But it's
that
not
are
like
going
Marley and Me bad, is
No,
it?
no, no.
Okay,
No.
that's why I try to stay away.
You're wondering if the dogs die. Is
Stuff
that
like
what you're-
ill
Man,
that
it's an animated.
just go to the
A Dog's Way
that
Home
website.
that just came out.
Fuck that noise. just go to the website that didthedogdie.com.
Okay.
Just type it in.
Didn't
there.
know that was a website.
Oh yeah, it's great. You see a dog in a movie, you type in the movie, and it's like, yeah, it does.
Yeah, not saying
Or
that.
no, it doesn't exactly. So you turn off the movie.
That was one of my
I don't wanna
biggest
see dogs
things-
die.
That was my biggest fears in the Meg. Did the dog die? But the dog swam away in the end. I was so happy.
Ew.
I never had any fear in the Meg
Wow.
at all.
Isle of Dogs, number 9.
Very good.
All right. Number 9 for mine. I love that we're all going to be really different this year.
Yeah.
Whereas last year it was like, oh, we're doing the same ones. This one I'm giving to A Quiet Place. I rewatched this
Ooh.
one. It was good. For being something different a little bit. I, again, didn't love the ending, but it still stood out with me even after a rewatch. So that's my number 9.
Very good. Mine just sneaked in because I just saw it recently, but
Dismiss yours.
I don't.
I hold a
I'm not
grudge
going
for
to say
that movie.
Island of Dogs.
I know. That's fine.
my number 9 was On the Basis of Sex.
I haven't seen it. Was it good?
Really?
I really liked it. Really enjoyed it. It was. I had no expectations going to this because I barely knew anything about the scenario, about the person, the historical piece surrounding it. I just heard general things, but I was really surprised. And it's clever. It's smart. It tells a good story of actually a real person and the situation that we faced in the 50s and 70s and still today.
That's Ruth Bader Ginsburg, right?
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, she had a couple good things come out. Didn't the documentary?
RGB?
on her did really well too.
Yeah, and learning like the backstory of just like how this movie was written and then directed. It's all connected, and it's great. I recommend it. I just saw it recently, and it sneaked in.
Good.
Very good.
I do want to see that one.
All right, so we're on to number 8.
Yeah, let's throw it to Kevin.
All right, Kevin, you're up with number 8.
Number 8 for me was Avengers: Infinity War.
Very
I
nice.
definitely didn't think it was the best superhero movie of the year, but it did so many things right. Started off the summer movie. I mean, it wasn't in our countdown, but it started.
Didn't
off
count.
Summer movies with a bang.
Right.
So it set up expectations for everything else. But
This is more like a goodbye spring explosion.
So that's exactly what it
that's
is.
exactly what it was. But that's. I mean, it did everything. It didn't do anything wrong. It did everything mostly right. So had a good villain. I mean, I thought it would. I guess it lived up to my expectations.
Yeah. Very good.
So 8.
So when we got into that, we don't put superheroes in top 10s. I didn't have a lot of time to see a lot of things this year because I'm back in grad school. I just didn't see all what you guys got to see. So I got to see a lot of the things that I was interested in. So a lot of my top 10 are going to be into the superhero stuff. So as I keep going down,
That's totally fine.
You guys are going to keep looking at me like, really?
I'll probably have that moment too, so don't worry.
So at number 8, I'm getting it to Black Panther. I thought, for being on its own, it did a good job of giving him some sort of individual feel of being his own superhero. I mean, yeah, it's kind of, you put on the suit and it gives you the powers, but I thought this did a really good job of Wakanda. I mean, it visually looked great. I thought it was just kind of a fun ride. Yeah, the supporting actors were probably a little more interesting than the main actor, but I thought it did a good job.
So that's not a bad thing.
Yeah, no,
I
I thought
good supporting characters.
yeah, I thought it did a good job. I mean, it was an interesting enough movie that we needed. It's important for Infinity Wars.
Yeah.
And so that's why I gave it the number 8 spot.
Good bleed over because that was my number 8 as well.
You guys are matching up a lot. You're 2 for 3.
I would have probably had mine higher if I wanted to see that movie. That you just
Yeah.
What, first name?
no.
Or,
On the basis.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice.
Yep.
For everything Anthony just said, rewatching that movie still held up great. I was worried about how much luster it would lose, but watching at home was great. Graphics was great, like everything said. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. It's a fun ride, and like we said, we had a lot of superhero movies this year, and there's a lot that we're not remotely close to a top 20.
No, absolutely.
So for Black Panther to be up as high as it is on my list, I think it deserves it.
It's definitely in my honorable mentions.
Yeah. All right, so let's throw it to.
I still have my number 8.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Jason.
I'm
I
sorry,
went
Jake.
first this
I'm
time, so-
sorry.
Okay.
Jake gets to go.
My number 8 is mid-90s. Jonah Hill's directorial debut, and it's just 90s culture. Like every single song is just like deep cuts in hip-hop, 90s hip-hop. So fucking good. The cast of just like these delinquent kids that all get together and have one subject matter in skateboarding that they can all like be like a little family with. So good. I have nothing bad to say about it. It's just a really fun time at the theater, and the way it's shot, it's in kind of like 4:3 mode, like it was gonna be shown on like an old tube TV. It's very cool, and this was in our theater for a week, and I'm glad I was able to sneak in that week and go see it on the big screen because it was really good. Yeah, mid-90s, my number 8.
Is that the boy from God of War?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's a nice touch for me.
I really liked that kid's act.
That was the boy.
Exactly.
Boy.
All right, now let's jump to Anthony with our number 7.
Number 7, I, again, didn't have this in my top 10 until I rewatched it, and I forgot how much I really did like it. Getting back into enjoying our time in the movies, the experience itself, I'm giving it to Ready Player One.
Very good.
This one was really good. I thought even the visuals on this one were so sharp and futuristic of what I would think of being all VR. I mean, a VR experience too. You take it off and it looks like, the reality that he was sitting in. I thought it was fun. The supporting cast was really good too. A lot of the voice actors, it was fun. That was my number 7.
To your point, I think the Ready Player One had also one of my favorite scenes, which was the Shining.
Yeah.
Most
redone.
definitely.
That was fun.
Yeah, how spot on that was so good. My number 7 is The Incredibles 2. It was like we said when we podcast about it. I think it's a great family story, great animation. The music is fantastic. I think from the first one to the second one, it doesn't skip a beat as far as tone and what they were going for with that movie. So I think Brad Bird, who's directed it, came back in a strong fashion with this one, and I loved it.
Jake, I'm going to sneak in because Incredibles was mine as well.
Oh, sure.
It felt like just going back to the same well, like we didn't miss a beat, and it starts right after the first one ends. So if you watch them bookended, it's just one continuous story, and it's really good.
Yeah, the Underminer fight at the beginning is so solid.
Yeah, it's really good.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
All right.
Very good. My number 7 came out all the way in February, and it still stuck with me all the way through the year. When I saw it, I'm like, this will definitely be in my top 10. And I'm glad to say that number 7 is Annihilation.
Very good.
Nice.
The best sci-fi movie to come out in 2018. It does some weird stuff that I didn't think, like, it's not a big budget movie, but it's still like a theatrical release. I didn't know they had the balls to do what they did in this movie.
Didn't pay off.
It didn't pay off?
Not with
not for box office.
Not for box
no.
office.
Well, this had a weird release. Like, the U.S. is the only one that actually got it in theaters. Everywhere else, they got, like, released to Netflix
on
only.
digitally.
Right.
It's crazy. So I'm very thankful that I was able to see it in theaters.
Yeah,
Me too.
absolutely.
Just because, again, I think this is one that I'm going to go back to, and I think in 10 years, people are still going to be talking about this movie as, like, one of the best science fiction movies of this decade.
Alex Garland might be the best sci-fi maker out right now.
Yeah, he's got a good track record. This and Ex Machina.
And I think we said this last year about a different movie, but so with Mad Max, I sat there and thought, wow, that was just a piece. Like, that was an art piece.
Oh, yeah.
With Annihilation, I just sat there and thought about these deep questions about the universe for like 15 minutes, 20 minutes. And that's the kind of effect Annihilation has. So I like that it's on your list. Very
This
good.
is one of the only movies that I've read the book afterwards. Or
That's my goal, too.
I've read the book, and the movie is better.
Really?
I
Interesting.
have the book if you'd like to read it.
We're buying the trilogy, I think.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. I'm excited to read it.
I've heard the other books in the series get better,
Good.
or at least go in way different directions, but I did not care for the book.
God, if only this would get a sequel.
It
And it would
won't.
be based on one of those books. I know it never will. It never will.
So we're back to me with
You
number
on
6. All right, my number 6 was Black Klansman. I was surprised how much I like this movie. It's got a great story to tell. It's got like some interesting humor beats in it that really ride a fine line, and especially in 2018. But I think it does it so well. And at the end of this movie, like, I think my biggest gripe was just how the ending turned out to be. But like, even look back now, like, it's just a great movie. I can put aside what bothered me initially and still enjoy the story that was told.
I thought the ending was like one of its best parts.
And we talked about this, but
Yeah,
I disagree.
we
I
have.
disagree.
Have any of you
Yeah,
seen it?
I've seen it.
Okay.
I haven't.
Oh, we'll talk about it more later.
Okay. Sounds good. Sounds good.
But yeah, Black Klansman number 6.
Very good. My number 6 is a movie that I saw after 2018, just trying to catch up on all the other movies that I've missed. And the main reason why I watched this one is because I guess he's not a friend of the show, but one of my friends, AJ, this is his favorite movie, and I never really heard about it. It's one of those to where, like, I saw the trailer, I thought it was good, added it to my Netflix queue, and then it got kind of lost in there, like a lot of movies do. But I went back, I watched it, so glad I did. It's Private Life.
Yeah, I read your review on
Yeah.
Letterboxd of this movie, and it made me interested in watching it.
It's really fucking good. It's just these, it's Paul Giamatti and Catherine Hahn as a couple in New York in their mid-40s trying to have a kid and going through all like the fertility treatments, and they've been doing this rigmarole for like close to a decade, and they're not getting a lot of luck, and it's heartbreaking and it's funny, and it takes this subject matter both seriously, and I have a soft spot for, like, it's not raunchy humor, but it's definitely like crude. And coming from like these type of characters, I'm like, oh, I wasn't expecting this type of dialogue at all, and I'm happily surprised. And it helped me like this movie even more than I thought I was going to. Because again, going in, I knew nothing. Molly Shannon's in this movie as like a mom going through menopause, and she has a hell of a performance in this fucking thing.
Really?
There's not really a bad performance that I can say about this. The comedy is spot on. It's it can be dry at times. It can also be just like crude as all get out, and it all works together. And probably my biggest surprise of the year.
What's its actual genre?
I would say comedy. I would say if I had to put it underneath an umbrella, it'd be kind of like a Woody Allen movie.
Interesting.
I mean, it's like that, but it definitely has its own spin.
It's a dramedy.
something
A
like
dramedy.
that. Yeah.
Yep. I like that.
Yeah, I saw your review on it, and it catapulted it into something I might actually watch. 'Cause
I think you would really
I
like
had not
it.
heard anything about it. At
I think your wife would like it too.
that's
so
good.
yeah,
Always looking for movies.
yeah,
that
I
she
know,
likes.
right? Mhm.
What number are we on?
6.
6.
My number 6 is Paddington 2.
Hey,
Whoa.
All right. Oh yeah. I bought the first Paddington on a whim. I saw that it was 98% or something on Rotten Tomatoes, and I watched it with my daughter. And it's basically a kid's version of a Wes Anderson movie.
Yeah,
Which I love Wes Anderson.
we know.
Whatever. But the first one was so good. When the second one came out, I missed it in theaters, and I was very upset. It came out like the beginning of the year, like January, like 15th or some shit.
Yep.
And I missed it in the theaters because I didn't have Movie Pass yet. And as soon as it came out on Blu-ray, I just snatched it up. And it's heartwarming, delightful. The jokes land for both kids and adults. It doesn't bore my daughter, which is big. Because,
It's a plus.
No, you ain't kidding. Because it's a movie I will actually enjoy watching with her.
Yeah.
Right.
This franchise makes me sad because it's huge in Britain, but nobody talks
Nobody
about
watches
it in
it here.
America at
And
all.
it's- I mean-
and as you can see, there's a sticker on the Blu-ray that says 100% fresh
Right.
on Rotten
It
Tomatoes. Like
does
they
not
had to
have a
show that
bad-
proudly.
Yeah, it does not have a bad critic review on anything.
It's so good, and I think like you're a big British guy, John.
Yeah.
You like the genre
No, you're
of
actually a
anything.
pretty, like average size American guy, John.
This is. I feel like you will fall in love with.
Oh,
this
you
movie.
absolutely will.
It's one that I've always hesitated, but I need to just try it.
It is delightfully British.
I hesitated on watching the first one just because I'm like, oh, it's a family movie, whatever. But it's so fucking solid, and my kid didn't like watching it. Really, she got bored and she left, and I kept on watching because it was that damn good. And usually I just turn that shit off quick. But this one I sat through.
The villain in the first one is Nicole Kidman, and
Yeah.
it's probably my favorite performance of her career.
Same with Hugh Grant.
And
It
I'm not
is.
kidding. She's really good in it. And Hugh Grant's the villain in this one, and it's my favorite performance of his.
Just because they get a play like so out of type.
He's an old out of work actor that only does dog food commercials.
That's
now.
awesome.
And it is fucking insanely brilliant. Watch this movie and watch. I can't recommend them highly enough.
I forgot that even came out this year.
This was my number 11. Like it was so close, and at one point it was my number 10, but I switched it at the last minute. But
It's definitely worth the hour and 30 minutes you're going to put into it.
if you have kids, I would try to get them to watch Paddington 2 because hopefully everybody enjoys it. You'll definitely enjoy it.
Absolutely enjoy it. It's so good.
All right.
You guys ready for a shock?
Is it a superhero movie?
It's Annihilation.
Oh!
Did you hate it at the time?
Give it a 2.5.
You know what? So I watched it again.
Good.
I'm still not a fan of the end.
Sure.
That's fine.
It just
It's
doesn't
very
sit right
devi-
with
it's
me.
That's
very
fine.
divisive.
And I've tried because I tried just blocking out that John loves every sci-fi and that
Not every sign.
I mean, what's his name again?
the sci-fi
Oscar
savant.
Isaac?
That's it.
Oh.
Sci-fi. Oscar Isaac. Yeah.
It's
That guy, duh.
It was good. It looked good, and it's. I didn't want to like it on the second viewing because Chelsea.
So why'd
wanted
you
to
watch
see
it? Oh, okay. That's why.
And I was like, yeah, I don't remember loving this movie, and just kind of turned it off after I, saw it the first time and we talked about it, and it just didn't sit right with me. After watching it again, I mean, it's up there. Obviously, it's number 6 on my list, but just the visual effects, the part leading up to it, the part that I have a gripe with, I guess. If you can say it's a gripe, it just doesn't sit well with me. I
that's
don't
fine. Yeah.
think it doesn't neglect from the movie. It doesn't. It's not all about me.
But I think that's classic sci-fi.
Well,
There's some sci-fis that people just crap the bed on the end.
It also leaves you in a sense of not knowing what's happening. So
I
if
think-
you don't like that,
it's
then
not
it's hard
supposed
to
sit
like.
right with you. It's
Yeah.
not supposed to sit right.
Someone who works in HR who wants everything to be right. and
Yeah,
has a
uh-huh.
book, I
It
mean,
has-
that
you
kind of
have
makes
to
sense
this
why it
way.
doesn't.
I get
don't
that.
care for
I get
it, but
that.
anyway,
It's
number
ambiguous
6.
on purpose.
Yep.
Right.
So, John, you're 2 in a row. Your sci-fi makes it on my top 10.
I'm happy with that. That's good.
Good. Everyone should like more sci-fi.
Agreed.
All right, so we're on to our number 5s, and we're throwing it to Jake.
Yeah, that's me. There were a lot of good documentaries that came out this year. I'm only picking one,
There were a
but
lot of good ones.
Won't You Be My Neighbor was really good.
Heard that was good.
I haven't seen Three Identical Strangers, even though I
want to
wanted
as
to. RGB, I've heard nothing but good things about. Free Solo is one that I desperately wanted to see.
I want to see it in IMAX.
I know, and it's probably out of theaters by now.
Most likely.
But the one that really stuck with me, again, is another fucking skateboarding movie. It's crazy that
Man, I called it.
2 skateboarding movies are in my top 10,
You
which
and Barack Obama.
I'm okay with that. My number 5 is Minding the Gap, and this came as a total fucking shock to me. I watched it because I do like skateboarding, even though I am horrible at skateboarding. I like the culture of it, even though there's a whole bunch of like dirt balls in here. This movie is so good just because it's this first-time director, and he just started when he was 15 years old filming his friends fucking around and skateboarding and all of this stuff. And then as he grew as a person, everybody else grew. They kind of stuck together as friends, but then they also branched out, and their lives changed so much in the span of like 6 or 8 years. And there's different types of things that happen in each individual family of these friends that intertwine so well. And this is why I love documentaries so much, is because like you never know how these fucking things are going to turn out. And sometimes you're just filming one thing to have fun, and then it turns into something magical like Minding the Gap.
Yeah.
I would recommend this to anybody, whether you like skateboarding or not, because skateboarding isn't really like the main aspect of this. It's just different. Like, it's kind of like how economic ways, like they live in Detroit or outside of Detroit, but it's the economy hit them hard, and it kind of affected their families in each ways. But then it also gets into like physical abuse issues, and it gets into just like teenage pregnancy issues. And it could have went wrong so many ways. And the ending to this movie, like the last 20 minutes, is probably the best ending, like the best crescendo of an ending that I've seen this year. It's so masterfully done. And for this kid, he's like 23, 24 years old when this movie came out. In order for it to be, I can't believe he made this good of a movie. And I wanted to put it higher, but my top 4 have been like my top 4 for a month. Minding the Gap is my number 5 and best documentary of the year that I've seen.
But most importantly, if it's skateboarder culture, does it have Jinko jeans?
Um,
You son of a...
it doesn't, because
Dude, real skateboarding culture doesn't use Jenkos, man.
yeah, that was like 90s stuff.
they get
90s
stuck-
skateboarders.
they
Yeah,
get
this
stuck-
didn't
get
happen
stuck
in the
board.
90s.
Oh.
This was like filmed in like 2005 is when they started to
Oh.
be kids. Some of the dolly work, it's not a dolly, it's him on a skateboard, but some of the filming of these skateboard tricks blew me the fuck away. And it was this fucking 16-year-old kid just filming his friends.
Some people just have an eye, man.
Oh man.
Cool.
I still think about this movie. Like when I first watched it, I'm like, this will be in my top 10. And then thinking about it, it was like my number 9. And then it just kept on climbing up and up. And I can't get this movie out of my head. It's probably my biggest surprise of the year.
Sweet.
Minding the Gap.
Nice. We're number 5, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
My number 5 is Mission Impossible Fallout.
Very good.
There
It was the best action movie of the year. We said before that this movie franchise just keeps getting better.
Yeah.
The addition of Henry Cavill was stellar.
Yeah.
The supporting characters were good. We brought back Ving Rhames. We brought back
Everybody.
Rebecca, what's her face?
Ferguson.
Simon Pegg.
Simon Pegg's back. Alec Baldwin's back in a bigger role. Was it Angela Bassett's in it?
Yep.
She's good. The whole movie,
No Hawkeye.
thank
Poor
God.
Hawkeye.
Well, either way, if Jeremy Renner's not in it, it's not that bad.
That's okay.
But it had enough nods to the first movie
Yeah.
that it brought everything back around. I didn't catch it till second viewing that it was Max's daughter.
Yeah.
That is the White Widow or
I
whatever.
didn't
Yeah.
catch that until John brought it
Yeah.
up on the podcast.
Yeah.
But once I found that, I was just like, holy shit! You know, at least they did some things that tied it back to the original one.
Yeah.
And
Exactly.
It's beautifully shot. The stunts are crazy, and if you watch Tom Cruise break his ankle on that one stunt, you can see him like just limping off afterwards because he wanted to get the shot done.
Yep.
Right.
Like the fact that this guy's almost 60, he's like 50.
He's mid-50s.
Yeah, he's mid 50s
Yeah.
and still doing this shit.
Yeah.
It's crazy the level of shit that he went through for this. I think he was he's a licensed helicopter pilot now.
He spent 2,000 hours to
Yeah.
get his helicopter license just so it would look believable when
Yeah.
he's doing the stunts in the helicopter.
Yeah,
it's insane.
The amount of work that he goes into these movies, I think he just does it so he can do cool shit.
Yeah.
But
And with him,
whatever, it worked.
with him
really
getting
well.
up there, it makes me nervous that we're not going to get another Mission Impossible, especially since he injured himself and he probably got paid millions of dollars off that insurance.
Oh yeah.
So I don't know. Like, this movie is it's the most expensive Mission Impossible movie ever made, but it also made the most.
Yeah.
But it still didn't make that much. It made
No.
like $300 million.
Yeah,
which
I
is
mean,
not a lot for a blockbuster
for
like
a big
this.
blockbuster. But tell you what, it did the one thing that was really funny this year and killed Movie Pass.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It killed Movie Pass hard.
sure did.
But it's a great flick. It's probably the definition of like popcorn flick. Just watch it and just be in awe of all the cool set pieces and stuff.
Yeah.
It's insane. It's great.
All right, I'm going a different route on my number 5.
No superhero?
No superhero.
Oh, wow.
This one is A Star Is Born.
Oh,
Very good.
I like this one.
Yeah, heard good
for
things.
musical wise, I thought Bradley Cooper has a great voice. Who knew? And Lady Gaga. I mean, I didn't know she could act. So it was enjoyable for me. I mean, it was a date night movie, so that's why I went and saw it. But I mean,
God, fucking bummer date night ending, huh?
yeah,
Jesus.
yeah. There's a spoiler, but no, it was good. I mean, the music in it. I'm still listening to the soundtrack.
It's very good.
So it's at my number 5. An enjoyable date night movie, and so there's my romantic.
Yeah. Rom-com rascal over
right.
here.
Hey, Alex said it was on his
It was really good.
top 10.
It's like my top 15. It's a good movie. The second half is definitely weaker than the first. The first half is like 4.5 star material for me.
It was very good.
But then like Lady Gaga starts to mirror her own like personal life, and it's just, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's still a good movie. I gave it 4 out of 5.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Pretty high.
pretty solid.
I'm just going to echo Kevin with number 5 because it was also Fallout.
Nice.
I think for the exact same reasons you listed, but usually I'm not a big fan of just like, all right, one action set piece is done, let's jump to the next. This one does just some, I mean, it does that, but also it just includes a nice lore, like you said, of Mission Impossible. And just, I actually enjoyed the story. I kept up with the spy twist that Mission Impossible always throws at you.
This one had a lot of them too.
It did.
Exactly. So,
Yeah, it was one set piece after another. Like there was a car chase, and as soon as that car chase was done, or like a boat chase or whatever,
Yeah.
then they were like, get into this other car.
Yeah.
Right.
And it was like, oh crap, you can't get into this car.
Car chase goes to
grab a
foot chase.
motorcycle.
Foot chase goes to boat chase. Just
Boat
like,
chase
Jesus
goes to
Christ.
motorcycle chase.
Yeah.
Well, it's
one of my initial criticisms when we reviewed it was it's just always feels like always like the same ending with these Mission Impossible outings, but it didn't have like the high stakes scene with the bomb to the chest. And I think it was in 4 at the dinner table in Mission Impossible. Was that 3? Like that one was the most
no,
tense.
maybe that was
Dinner
no, that
table.
was 5. Rogue Nation had Simon Pegg with the with the bomb
with
strapped
the
to his
bomb,
chest.
That's
yeah,
fine,
and they're
yeah.
talking across the table. Like that was one of the best tense scenes in the series for me.
Yep.
And this ending didn't quite have that,
No.
but it was still very good. So I mean, like you said, everything action wise and popcorn flick to a T. It was good.
I just don't know where they go from this because the stakes were so high. On
The
this
thing
one.
is, the way this ends, they can go anywhere.
That's
Yeah,
true.
they can, but the stakes were just so high on this one. It was like literally total world annihilation.
Yeah.
And you're just like, well, what raises the stakes? Like, where do they go from there?
And since Paramount is in like a desperate need for a franchise
They'll
still,
probably
like
throw
this
one
will
out
keep
there.
on going, and
As long
I
as
have
Tom Cruise makes movies.
yeah, I know, and I have no idea where they're going, and that makes me so excited.
Yeah.
Very good.
All right.
So we're on to our number 4s, and Kevin, I believe you're kicking this one off.
I am. It was on Anthony's list, and I'm sure it'll be on your guys' list, but my number 4 was Annihilation.
Very good.
Like Jake said, it stuck with me so
Yeah.
much that I sought out the book and rewatched it as soon as it came out. Like upon second viewing, I actually understood and like enjoyed the ending a little bit more. But it is what it is. It's ambiguous to the core. But the fact is, the first 3/4 of this movie are beautiful to look at. The performances are really good. It's got really strong performances from all of its female leads. Oscar Isaac is just kind of there.
Yeah.
But the stuff with him in the, what do they call it? The shimmer?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
With him in the shimmer, like they see on like back and forth through like old videos and stuff, like the digital stuff that they
Right,
find
yeah,
in the shimmer
yeah.
is crazy.
It's one of the best like art interpretation of that world that I've seen, especially with the skeleton against the wall.
Oh yeah,
Like that was
The
just
visual
it was
effects on
just
this are just
weirdly beautiful.
amazing. Everything is is weirdly amazing.
Yeah.
Oh my god! When I don't know if this is a spoiler or not, but when the girl disappears and just changes into something else,
Yeah. When she,
so fucking beautiful.
yeah, if you haven't everything
Hauntingly beautiful.
Hauntingly beautiful. And the fact that she talks about it and she knows it's going to happen, she's
Yeah.
just like, I've accepted it. I'm just going to go.
Yeah.
Everything about this movie is beautiful and heartbreaking.
Yeah, very much so.
And also terrifying in some points.
Yeah.
So
Agreed.
Hits all the feels.
watch it in the dark with all the lights off, and you'll be both
Crank
amazed.
your
you'll be
sound
both-
bar.
Yeah, you'll be both amazed and terrified.
All right, Anthony.
All right, number 4. This is where I throw it to my animation. This is Incredibles 2.
Very nice.
good movie. It picks right back up. I'm just now reiterating what we've already talked about, but it was a good movie. I think it was worth the wait. I did like the actors coming on talking about it a little bit. Them talking about saying, it takes this long just because the animation. I think that's a bunch, kind of BS. I mean, we could have had this years ago, but I think it was really good. They did a good job with it. Acting, voice acting's right back to where it needed to be. It was a fun ride.
I think coming out after the Avengers was actually a nice touch.
Yeah.
Because with Avengers being as high stakes and in your face it is, the Incredibles was like a nice brought down to a family level action hero superhero movie.
Yeah, sure.
Which I enjoyed about it. Which is like a nice piece to the summer, I would add. So, my number 4 is A Quiet Place. For me, this struck a lot of sci-fi chords and a little bit like not so much the scary, but I was so enveloped into the world that Krasinski created with not much is going on outside this farm that we know of, but the twist with the creature. I mean, it's kind of a monster movie, I would argue, and I like the monsters. I like the very small, low key family stakes that are taking place, but within that family, the stakes are very high. And yeah, rewatching it, there's some scenes that just don't hold up as well as I wanted them to, but still, for me, a great rewatch, and I think one of the better movies I enjoyed this year from 2018.
Sci-fi Safan over here. He's loving it. What do you think the sequel's going to be about?
I think something entirely different.
It's going to have to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm guessing it'll be like another family somewhere else. Like maybe like the farmhouse where they see the light. It might be about them or some little shit like that.
Or maybe it'll go completely off the rails. Like, it'll be like Alien and Aliens. Where it just,
that'd be kinda cool.
It just turns into a crazy action movie.
Like the end of A Quiet Place. It's just like all that.
Well, I mean, all the action in Alien was at the end of the movie, right?
As long as it's not like a Cloverfield situation.
It probably will be.
Because the Cloverfield, was it the one with the gal and then the bunker with John Goodman?
10 Cloverfield
Yeah,
Lane.
That was
Yeah.
a tight, concrete, solid story.
Yeah.
But then they try to pull another random movie like the Cloverfield Paradox, just bombs.
The problem is neither of those were actually Cloverfield movies.
They just
They
left
were
the title.
changed
They were
Yeah,
changed
that's
into
true.
Cloverfield
But I don't
movies.
want that to be the case with the Quiet Place. I don't want them to.
Well, no, I mean,
No.
I
Create
don't think,
us-
and I don't think it will be because
Yeah.
he's writing it again.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yep.
That's my hope. So
He's not. I don't think he's going to direct it, but he is writing it.
Either way, the problems that I had with that movie were not how it was shot or how it looked, because I thought it looked really good and I thought it was shot really well. Mm-hmm. I had other problems with that movie.
I understand.
I won't go into.
I don't really remember a lot from that movie. Like I didn't. It didn't stick with me as much as I thought it was
one of
going
the problems
to.
I have with it. I thought it was a mediocre sci-fi film.
Yeah.
There you go. So we're on to. Have you got any number 4 yet?
Sure haven't, John.
Sorry, Jake. Sorry.
Okay. Let's see here. My number 4. I don't even know how to introduce this. I'm just gonna go say it. It's Black Klansman.
Very
I
good.
liked this movie a lot. I should have put this in comedies. Like this movie is all over the place. It hits a lot of different issues, but it's really funny.
It's funny
in points.
as hell, man.
It's funny in points. It's Spike Lee finally again trying to like make a statement movie, and he didn't even want to make this movie to begin with. Jordan Peele was the one who brought it to his attention, and he's like, "Dude, you need to make this." Spike Lee didn't want to, and he just kind of twisted his arm about it. This is the only movie in 2018 where I left furious. But it was like a good furious. It was just like, I can't believe this is still happening. And I stormed out. And I was like, I fucking hate this. I need to go. Blah, blah, blah. And I just sat in my car and I wrote the review right there. I just sat for 30 minutes just stewing. Yeah, but it was a good stew. It was a nice slow simmer of a stew. But yeah, this movie's smart. This movie's hilarious. This movie's dark. This movie makes fantastic points. It stuck with me in numerous scenes, I love seeing Spike Lee back to preeminence, pretty much.
Actually making good movies again.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's been a while.
Everybody's good in it. There might be a weird, like, there are a couple Spike Lee touches that I don't like, but Spike Lee's going to Spike Lee. He's going to do what he does, and I just kind of took it because, as a whole, this movie just hit for me. BlackKkKlansman been my number 4.
Very good. So we're on to number 3 now.
Yep.
And we're back to
me.
Anthony.
All right, this is where I put Mission Impossible Fallout. It was great. Again, this was one that I gave a 5. I didn't, after first viewing, I thought there wasn't many things that they messed up on. It wasn't. I've already said this once, but I was at the edge of my seat. Even the second time watching it, I thought it did a good job of building the suspense, getting characters involved, character development, characters that we've already known, but building some more story on them, giving Alec Baldwin more legwork. I thought it was good. It was all around a very solid number 3 for me.
I'm going to hop in here, too, because it's my number 3 as well.
Wow. Very good.
It's the best Mission Impossible movie ever made. It's one of my favorite franchises because it slowly is growing into this behemoth of a franchise.
absolutely.
Like, they just keep on getting better and better. And even right now, I don't think you can do better than Mission Impossible Fallout for this series. I think it's all downhill, but I still can't wait to see what happens.
Absolutely.
Like, we've already talked about this to death, but it's crazy that he was able to just make all of this lore from each and every movie just combine into something this good. And they were writing the script on the spot when they were making this fucking thing, and it still turned out that well.
Yeah.
Action set piece is the best action I've seen in 2018. This is my favorite action movie of the year by far. Yeah, we've talked enough about it. It's fucking good.
So my number 3 was, I was hesitant putting this high, but every time I think about it, I just enjoyed myself. And that was Avengers Infinity War.
Yeah.
This was a solid, fun ride, and I'm very explicitly how I felt at the end of this movie was what's next, but more importantly, like, this brought out like my inner kid of like everything superhero that I ever wanted in a superhero movie. And that felt really good because, as a kid, you're thinking about superheroes exploring and destroying stuff, and that's what this movie does to an extent. But like we talked about Thanos, we talked about how it balances all these characters so well, so I won't go into that again, but just for the pure thrill and excitement, and like we did a whole series leading up to this movie of the Marvel series going up to this, and a lot of work went into getting to this point, and I feel like it paid off.
It sure as shit did.
Yeah. No, I did.
So, with that reason alone, I'm excited / nervous to see where they go next, because Infinity War does so well, things so good. I don't want it to be compromised by its sequel.
I don't want anything spoiled by the trailers in
I don't
the
either.
game.
And
I know they've said like they're only going to show stuff from the first 15 minutes, and the first trailer really didn't do anything for me.
No.
But I'm okay if I go into this knowing not a lot and just being
absolutely.
blown away.
But even the trailer gave something away.
What, the Ant-Man thing?
No, well,
Yeah,
you knew.
I mean, you
You
knew
knew
it was
it
going to
was gonna
happen.
get
We
out,
still
but
don't know
I
how.
didn't wanna see it.
Yeah.
Well, and honestly, at this point, I think we can probably trust the Russo brothers.
I think so too.
Yeah.
They haven't made a bad Marvel
Nope.
movie yet, right?
Sure
So
haven't.
They've only done what? This is the second one they've done?
No, they did,
They did Captain America Civil War.
and Winter Soldier.
And Winter Soldiers. That's,
Yep.
Yeah. So, no, they haven't made all of those are in the top 10 of Marvel movies.
Right.
So, I mean...
I think Marvel went with the right decision to have those guys.
absolutely.
Most definitely.
I think so,
They
too.
should have.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, they saw the way they handled Civil War, and
Yeah.
that's who you give it to. So, I trust the Russo brothers.
Yep. That was why it's my number 3.
Yeah.
All right. My number 3, Jake just talked about it. It's BlackKkKlansman.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, that movie, the performances throughout that movie, Adam Driver is amazing in it. I don't even remember what Denzel Washington's little kid is. What his kid's name is.
John David Washington?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
But he's really good in it. You know who honestly might have surprised me the most in that movie? Topher Grace.
Oh, yeah.
Topher Grace
For sure.
was really good in this movie.
Uh-huh.
I
And
have to see this.
Yeah, you
absolutely
are.
need to.
It's that part and what his character actually is in real life. It's freaky.
It's
How
freaky,
close
and
it
he
is.
was really close to it.
Yeah.
But for all the reasons Jake said, it's... Sorry.
That's okay.
We got an earthquake going on upstairs. No, for all the reasons Jake said, it's definitely top 5 movies of the year, and I put it at 3 because it's funny, it's heartbreaking. There's a really good scene where it contrasts between the Black Power movement and the white
Birth of a
white-
Nation.
Yeah.
Birth of a
Oh, man.
It's such a poignant piece of
It
filmmaking, and I walked out of the theater just flabbergasted. Mm-hmm. That's how good it was. I really loved it.
Yep.
Is that all on number threes?
Yep.
Yeah.
So then we're back
to you for two.
Back to me with two.
You, bud.
Number two was pretty easy, and that was Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. I don't think this is recency effect at all. I think this is a well-told story of Spider-Man, of something we could have easily seen before, but it's a new twist. Has the feels, as we say. Has great music, great animation, and
So fucking good.
I feel like as far as me, fives are classics. This is pretty freaking close to a classic.
Still didn't push the 5 button, though, John.
I didn't. This is up there with Spider-Man 2 for me, because Spider-Man 2 is my favorite Spider-Man film. But, just everything differently it does with Spider-Man. I won't go into it again, but, man, it's so good. It's one of the best movie experiences I've had, probably in overall.
Yeah.
So,
All
yeah,
right.
there's a spot number two.
Sneak in there. That was my number 2 as well. I had a really hard time because this was almost my number 1, but it was great. I mean, it was visually. I knew nothing about it. I didn't read the comics. I don't know a lot about it, but it was so much fun for even me who didn't have as much experience into all of that. Yeah, I had some kind of idea watching all the Spider-Man movies that there was something like this, but it was a fun ride. And it looked
Definitely.
great. It was something that I've never seen before, and even the part that I can't remember who I was talking to said that who was the pig's name?
Spider-Ham?
John Mulaney.
Yeah.
John Mulaney.
John Mulaney's character. They're like, oh, that looks stupid. And I'm like, that was.
That was-
You know what? It wasn't overplayed.
No, it worked
Had
really
they overplayed a bunch of that, yeah, maybe a little bit too much, but it was perfect. I mean, I don't have a ton of bad things to say about this. I don't even know if I have one bad thing to say about
I know.
it. It was fun. It was a good movie.
I gave 2 5 out of 5s this year, and I was just like ping-ponging back through them.
We're gonna have the same top 2. You know that, right?
Yeah, I'm okay with that. I think
Probably
all of
the
us
same.
might have the same top 2.
I don't know. No, probably
But-
not Anthony.
Not me.
Not John.
At the end of the day, I had to put Spider-Man at my number 2 as well, just because
Really?
it is so fucking impressive with what they did. It's the best animated movie that has been out in the past 10 years, in my opinion. They do something completely different. They make this is like the first actual comic book turned to life. Because
absolutely.
at the beginning, they put like the comics code that you see on every single comic book in here, because they're going so hard into that aspect. And it's so fucking cool. And it's unlike anything that I've seen. The Russo brothers, I know one of them wrote it, and both of them were executive producers, but they're able to push the envelope with this
Well,
fucking
and who else
stuff.
was it? It was Lord and
Lord
Miller,
Miller,
right?
Yeah, but I mean, there are 3 different directors that weren't either of them.
Yeah.
But they still had their touches on it. Like, their humor is all over this fucking thing. I don't know. It's something special. I love it, and I think I'm gonna like it. Like this is like on par with the Lego Movie for me. I love both those movies. This is better than that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
But not by far.
but not by far.
I mean,
It's
they're both
again,
really solid movies,
it's
but-
another artistic style that you haven't seen in a movie before. And yeah, it blew my fucking socks off, and I can't believe that there's a movie that's better than this Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. But there is. But Spider-Man is damn good.
Okay, for me, my number 2 was Hereditary.
Very nice.
It was my favorite theater-going experience of the year. We've talked about that a little bit already. It was well acted by everyone in this movie.
Yeah.
Toni Collette was really great. Gabriel Byrne was fantastic. It did things. It used sound effects to a great effect. The clicking noise that you'll hear throughout the movie is terribly unsettling.
Yeah.
The visual images in this movie are horrific.
Yeah. Very much.
One of them stuck with me for a long time right after this movie, and I won't go into it, but it was
Disturbing.
by far the best horror movie of the year, and
Yeah.
by far the. No, I wouldn't say by far, but it was definitely one of my favorite movies of the year. It was so good, and even on rewatch, it didn't drop very much. I mean, a lot of things. I came out of that theater and gave it a 5. Watching it at home, I think I dropped it to like a 4.75, just because I noticed more things, and like the way that they set up and pay off in this movie is amazing. So
I would say, like, out of the last, probably my last 15 years of movie going experiences, maybe, or my entire movie going experience. Even at home or watching a scary film, nothing resonated like this one.
No.
Like Hereditary did.
Hereditary.
And I don't want to feel it again.
Unsettling.
I don't want to feel it again.
Yeah.
So that's why it's probably it was one of my least favorite movie going experiences because of how I felt.
But it's still on your top 10.
No, it's not my top 10.
Oh, I thought it was.
No, absolutely not.
John! Oh,
Absolutely
your favorite
not.
horror
Hold on.
movie.
You know what his number one
Come
is.
on.
Yeah.
Even I knew before we started tonight.
All right.
Before we get to our number ones, there's a couple films that I want to do an honorable mention about. Can
Please
we
do.
talk about
Do that?
Yeah, go ahead.
I was
Okay.
gonna say, I've got a list of honorable mentions that were actually way longer than my top
I do
10.
too. Oh, okay.
But
Don't say
I'm
all
not
of
gonna
them.
go. I'm not gonna go through
Okay.
them. I just wanted some of the ones that really stood out. We talked about Upgrade a little bit.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed Upgrade. It took sci-fi. It took what could have been formulaic sci-fi and turned it on its head towards the end of the movie. I really liked that. As far as horror movies, a couple horror movies that I had on there was Halloween, which we talked about a little bit, but also Ghost Stories.
Yeah.
A British, like a serial novel, basically.
Kind of, yeah.
Did
you watch this, John?
I did.
It was a bunch of short stories that kind of tied together with one central character.
Okay.
Really well done, very creepy. Really liked that. I saw The Favorite. That was a period piece if it was if it was accurate. There's a lot of pomp and circumstance in period pieces, and this one had none of that pomp and circumstance and all of like the nitty gritty.
Sure.
Really well acted. And then one that really affected me mostly because I'm a dad and I like Nick Offerman a lot was Hearts Beat Loud. The soundtrack to Hearts Beat Loud is fantastic. It's a quick little 30-minute movie. Tony Collette's, or not 30-minute, an hour and 30-minute movie. Tony Collette's in it as a supporting role. Ted Danson's in it as a supporting role.
Isn't it like him and his daughter starting a rock band?
Yeah, they start a band kind of
Yeah.
on a whim, and the soundtrack is so good. And the daughter's performance, I apologize, I don't know her name, but she's fantastic in it, and she does all her own singing and music, and he plays all his own instruments and everything like that. It was very affecting. So those are a couple of the ones. Oh, and one more. Sorry, You Were Never Really Here.
I wanted to like that so much.
Joaquin Phoenix, I thought was a powerhouse in that movie.
It's too artsy for me.
Too artsy for him. It was
Yeah.
artsy Taken, right? That's what it is.
I guess.
It's an art film, an art school Taken.
Gotcha.
It smelled its farts a lot.
Sometimes it does, but Joaquin Phoenix was really good in it.
Very good. I don't have any honorable mentions.
Yeah, I really don't either.
I have a couple, and my 11 was Paddington 2. It was so close to being on my list, but it wasn't. 12 was Sorry to Bother You, and at first when I watched that movie, it was a 3.5 out of 5. But the more time that has passed, the more I still think about that movie, and more stuff creeps up. So that was my number 12, and I have a few more. The Searching, we haven't talked about at all.
I've heard good things.
It was a really solid movie. The first 10 minutes of this movie is just like the first 10 minutes of Up. Like, it's pretty much a live action version of Up. But the the final twist of this movie didn't sit right with me, so it didn't make my top 10. But it is still a really good movie to watch. Another good documentary, Won't You Be My Neighbor?
Yep.
Super solid, but I mean, you already know about Fred Rogers, so it didn't really stick with me as
Kept
much.
waiting for a shoe to drop, and then you just realize there's no shoe to drop because he's
just a
Mr.
real
Rogers.
nice guy.
He's just Mr. Rogers.
Yeah. We talked about A Star Is Born a little bit, but again, that was another fun movie-going experience. And the first half of that movie is some of the best stuff that I've seen of this year. It's super solid. And then if we could have picked miniseries, I would have picked Wild Wild Country. That was one of my favorite things that I watched of 2018. It would have been on my top 10 list. It's only 4 parts, and they're all hour long. Oh my god, so many twists and turns in this fucking thing.
Yeah.
I loved it. I gave that a 4.5 out of 5. So if you haven't watched Wild Wild Country,
It's on Netflix.
it is on Netflix. I would give that a shot.
It is insane. It's an insane story.
I guess this is not a fair honorable mention to jump in because it's a Netflix series.
That's fine.
But one that resonated with me a lot was Hill House.
Oh, Haunting of Hill House.
Yeah.
Yes. If we were going to talk TV shows of the year, it
that would
be
probably
on
have taken mine.
It's really well made.
It's not. I wouldn't argue it's that scary, but just tells such a great story, and it really resonated with me. It just makes you really think about what you want in life and with your family and stuff.
That show is heartbreaking.
Very hard. It's not a good uplifting story.
No. It is paused it because my wife was bawling. Heartbreaking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it gets to a place where you're just like, wow, I mean, I didn't expect that. Still not feeling great,
No.
but what a great story being told. It's a tragedy,
Absolutely.
really, but a great tragedy. So
Also a great spin on that source material.
exactly, yeah. But yeah, that would be my honorable mention for as Netflix
Gotcha.
series go.
Yep.
But we need to get to our number one.
Yes.
So
Jake is kicking off our number one this year.
Okay. Everybody knows what it is, but I'm going to go into a little spiel.
All right.
I've seen 176 movies this year in 2018.
Jesus Christ, that's too
so
many.
many.
81 of those came out in 2018.
Okay.
So I've seen a good chunk of
You've
movies that
seen
came
pretty-
out this year.
I've seen pretty much everything that's come out this
I
year.
haven't, though. I haven't seen nearly enough. I want to hit the triple digits next year.
Jesus Christ. Okay, go ahead.
But the movie that has stuck with me ever since I've fucking seen it is Hereditary. I think this movie, I'm right there with John, the scariest horror movie that I've seen in theaters. I think this is the scariest horror movie I've seen that has come out, I'll say, since The Thing.
Yeah.
1980.
Yeah, probably.
I can't
it'd
think
be
of
up there.
any other one that... they come close, but this one just fucking sits with me. It takes, like, things in your family, even if you don't have any say, will stick with you forever. Things that your parents do, your grandparents do. You might not know it, but it's fucking there. And it's so fucking creepy. And the imagery that's in
So
here,
good.
my
John's over there just shivering.
my
He's like,
favorite
"No,
scene
thanks."
of the year involves Tony Collette,
Nah,
and
don't even go. Don't.
something happens with a part of her body, and it's not there anymore. And holy fuck, is that gonna be in my head forever?
The sound of that scene.
Yeah.
I still hear it. Just like right now, I
Yeah.
can still hear exactly how that scene sounds.
Yeah, this movie
Ugh.
I have only seen
Don't
in
see this,
theaters.
Anthony.
No, I'll never see it.
Don't
no,
see it.
You
I-
guys sit, no,
You,
never.
So
He's
you
so-
have to
no,
watch it.
I
He
won't even
suffers
look
from
at
the
DVD.
same things I do.
I don't even look at the
I would
DVD
spare
cover
him.
right
And
now. It's
I-
up there. I see it.
really good.
I'm not. no,
my
never.
wife, who loves horror movies, will not watch this
No,
because
I'll
I
never
have
watch it.
traumatized her with just my like explaining of this movie.
I made Steph watch it.
yeah.
Oh,
Was she mad?
No, I don't think so. I don't think so. We never really talked about it afterwards.
Funny how that works.
Yeah, it's,
she hasn't slept for a couple weeks. That is weird.
we haven't talked about it.
This movie is so fucking good.
Yeah.
And I am gonna watch it again, but I want somebody else to watch it with me because fuck me if I'm gonna watch this by myself.
I'll watch it with you again.
Okay.
And we'll make Anthony watch it.
No,
I
I'll
would
never
love
see this
that. Somebody new needs to watch it just so I can see expressions on their face because there are so many fucking memorable moments in this movie and moments that are fucked up, moments that you don't expect coming from this movie. Oh!
I will say-
I have so many good things to say.
I will say if Brent was here, he'd be going on a rant right now of how much
He hates it?
I stared at him during this movie because
Oh.
I wouldn't watch some of the scenes. I knew it was
gonna say,
coming.
hold on. How John watches scary movies is like the corner of the like screen.
Yeah.
So I'm surprised that he actually watched this. and
Well, there was times I
actually saw
looked
some
at
of
the
scary
corner. I looked
stuff.
at Brent because I mean this movie does such a good job of building
The
anticipation for
problem
something
is,
to come.
Part of this movie,
It catches you off guard, and
part
screw
of this
that.
movie is it did not do a bunch of jump scares.
No, not at
It's
all.
not a jump scare movie.
Really?
It's
Not
just
You
at
see
all.
everything.
You
It's-
see everything.
it's
But the problem
disturbing.
the problem is when you look at the corner of the screen in this movie, it's actually a detail that they want you to see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
There's no
creepy
escape.
as fuck. There's absolutely it was the most claustrophobic movie I've seen in.
That's
so
why.
long.
That's why I end up looking at Brent. Because
Well-
if I looked at the corner of the screen, I was
But
seeing
that's
something.
scary.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, Brent was giggling like during the worst parts of the movie because I kept staring at him.
I was so close in between Spider-Man and Hereditary, and so much so that I didn't rewatch the movie, but I re-listened to our podcast, and every single point that we brought up just it brought everything back, and my feelings just
bolstered you up.
cemented. Yeah, and John, you said that like when during horror movies you watch them and then you look away from the screen and then you yell at the person next to you saying, "Why is this happening?"
Yeah.
Yep.
I
That
couldn't
was
do that. I
this
couldn't
entire
do.
movie almost.
I couldn't do it in the movie theater, but that's why I stared at Brent with my eyes and like, fuck this Brent. So I was so upset.
There's not so many jump scares, but there's some scenes where I looked over at Jake and went, "Did they just really
Yeah,
fucking do this?
haunting imagery.
Like, just really did this?"
Yeah.
Yeah.
I loved that movie. It was
Mm-hmm.
so close to being my number one, but it got bumped out.
I'm glad I didn't rewatch it because that movie going experience was something else. It's the best movie going experience since Mad Max. And both times we left not knowing what the fuck we just watched.
Yep.
So good.
All right, Kevin.
My number one was Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse.
Very good.
I mean, I don't think
It's
I
a good
can.
movie.
We've already talked at length about it.
We
I'm
have.
not even going to say it, but just the soundtrack and how visually stunning it was. Mm-hmm. Even when it got a little formulaic towards the end, I was never not entertained.
Very much so. Agreed.
That's all I'm going to say.
Very good.
2017, I went It as my number one because it was my favorite movie-going experience. I loved everything
you
about
love
it.
horror movies, so why wouldn't you watch
but
Hereditary?
that's different. This didn't have like something that I don't dream about Pennywise every night. I have a bad feeling that it would sit with me too wrong. So
Yeah.
I am going to go against the grain of everyone else here as my number one and say that Avengers Infinity War was my
that's
number
good.
one just
Go for it.
because of it's everything that's led up to this movie paid off for me, and my movie going experience, that's what I'm looking for. You know, like I stated, I didn't see a lot of movies this year just because I've been so busy with other stuff, but this is my favorite villain. This is exactly what I wanted Thanos to do. I'm obviously a big fan of the villains. I wanted him to get away at the end. The bastard gets away with it and has the biggest smile at the end of the movie, and I still quiver when I see him smile. And he's got the burnt hand. He's got everything worked out in that movie, and I can't wait for the next one.
Yeah, I think the only thing that I think bugged me about that whole movie and why it was so low on my list, I absolutely agree. It should be on your list, and if you have it as your favorite movie going experience and your favorite movie, no,
Bravo.
I mean, that's fine. Yeah. But the thing that bugged me about this movie is that I think I'm a little bit too in tune with how the movie industry works, because when certain people, go to dust in the end of that movie, I know for a fact there's a sequel coming out of some of them. I know for a fact that Black Panther made so much fucking money that they're not going to not make a sequel to that
same
shit.
with Spider-Man. Like, I knew they were making Far From Home.
Yeah,
and
they're already making it. So, I know something's going to happen and he's going to come back.
You think about that afterwards, but when you're watching it, it's still shocking.
Even then,
I see. I didn't think that at all.
Like, Steph was watching it, and I was watching it with my wife, and she saw it, and she was like, oh, what? Like, really? And I was just like, no, there's no way that's going to last. Nope, there's no way that's going to last.
Yeah.
Nope, he's definitely coming back. Nope, she's going to be fine.
Gotcha.
Like, that's the only thing that took me out of that movie. Is I have no idea what's going to happen in part 2, but I know for a fact that Spider-Man's going to come back.
I think it serves and I agree with you because I thought about that too when that part happened. And after, like what Jake was saying, after thinking about it, like they just needed to do. But I feel like the industry wanted them to do something to set the stakes.
Sure, and it worked.
It did.
I mean, it's fine.
But it's hard not to,
It
like
was
you
really
said,
well done and really well made. But if I didn't know there was already a Spider-Man sequel filming, then you sit there and go, okay.
And I've read
That's
pieces that
crazy.
people wish the marketing would be a little more tighter leading up to Infinity War.
I think
or
we're getting that with
afterwards.
Endgame.
Yeah.
I think we're getting that wholeheartedly. We're not
They
going to
won't,
see
they won't spoil
dick.
shit on that
Yeah.
movie. And
Yeah.
that's good. They shouldn't.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But anyway, sorry.
No.
I didn't mean to bogart your
No,
top pick.
you
It's a
didn't
great top
at
pick, and
all.
it's worth it. But
Yeah.
And the glove makes a great toy.
It also makes a fantastic cup.
Dun, dun, dun. Now I'm very excited to see what comes next. I think this, we'll get into it later, but yeah. Good. Hopefully a good sequel. My number one should be no surprise. Annihilation.
Very good.
Sci-fi just always resonates with me.
that's the one sci-fi movie to resonate this year.
Yeah, exactly. I think the only thing that we only mentioned, and we talked about a little bit, was just each character had just their own little mini story leading up through the Shimmer, and how it resolves in the Shimmer reflects that story. And like that kind of storytelling to me is so good. The visuals, we won't go anymore because it was, to me, it was awesome. The resolution was just, the ending was just a little unsettling and not really definitive, but left you thinking, well, wonder what they would go next, or what does this look like?
Yeah.
And that's the kind of stuff I like. And then just, I don't know, plays upon what we think we know about our world. And that's what sci-fi does.
Oh, yeah.
And
The best sci-fi.
yeah,
Yeah, the best sci-fi makes you think about exactly what it wants you to think about.
exactly. And Annihilation did that for me. Blade Runner did that last year with kind of AI and robotics and what it means to be human. But yeah, those kinds of questions.
This one kind of had that same thing. What does it actually mean to be human? And like the invading alien or whatever it is at the start of this movie, it warps the whole world,
Right.
and it just changes everyone. And like you don't realize what the changes are until it's way too late or you're too far gone.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And I liked that there was a solitary mission in this movie. Like I have to get to the lighthouse. I have to get there. That's what I'm driving for. That's the only thing I care about. And at the end, when she finally gets there, you're just like,
Right, like on paper,
what's it going to actually be?
like on paper, that sounds very like straightforward. But everything that happens on that journey is so great, and the payoff in the lighthouse is just. I'm not sure if it's satisfying, but it's such a weird feeling when you get to the lighthouse because you just don't know how to feel.
I honestly
it's different.
might have been okay if they ended that movie with her walking into the lighthouse.
And I've heard that before
I'm
too.
so glad they didn't.
I'm glad they didn't as well, but
Yeah.
I honestly might have been okay with that.
I think that's what you.
I think I would have liked that more.
Yeah, because I think you and Brent made that point. But just the mind bending that goes into Annihilation, that's the kind of questions I want to think
I'll
about.
watch it again tonight.
So yeah, that's why it was my number one. No surprise. But yeah, that was our that was a hell of a list.
Stretch it out, guys.
Yeah,
We did
That
it.
would be different this year.
Yeah, it was actually pretty all over the
fun.
place. I mean,
Yeah.
sorry,
I love
just
it.
all over the place.
To recap, or to not to recap, but to end this little experiment here.
Yeah.
Let's just throw out our one or two movies that you're looking forward to in 2019.
Ooh, good. Can I start off?
Go ahead.
Because I looked at a lot of the movies that are coming out next year, and I think the one that I'm most intrigued to watch is Joker.
That'd be interesting.
Joaquin Phoenix Joker.
Yep.
I mean,
'Cause
I know he can
I've
act.
seen pictures.
There hasn't been a trailer yet, but there's been like it's pretty much like concept footage of what the Joker's gonna be, and it's just a '70s song playing like took me by surprise with just like Joaquin Phoenix getting into fucking clown makeup and smiling, and that
He's
had
creepy.
me. That's everything
I'll
that
be
I
there for
need.
He's creepy.
It's the first time since Heath Ledger that I'm like, okay,
Yeah, I was not impressed with Jared Leto's
No.
Joker at all.
definitely not.
And it shouldn't have been in Suicide Squad at all.
Yeah.
And I'm looking forward to that one.
Mm-hmm. It reminds me, just we haven't seen it a fucking lot, but it reminds me of like a '70s Scorsese film.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping that's what we get. It's the one I'm most intrigued to watch.
So my daughter's finally getting to the age where she can sit through all these movies in the theater.
I know what you're gonna
There's a couple movies that are coming out that I'm really excited to take her to. I'm really excited to take her to How to Train Your Dragon 3.
Cannot
Yep.
wait.
I'm really excited to take her to Lego Movie 2.
Yep.
This isn't with my daughter, but I'm excited to see 6 more Rock movies this year. Just kidding, I'm not.
Get ready for
Just
that.
get ready for 6 more The Rock movies. It's gonna happen.
I can't
He's already
remember if
making
that
like 4, right?
Big Trouble in Little China sequel's coming out this
I don't
year
think
or
it
not.
is. I don't
Okay.
think it's still in
It's the only one that I
hiatus.
know of.
I'm sure there's a new Fast and the Furious movies in the works.
Just wait. Oh, Hobbs and Shaw.
Hobbs and Shaw, which
Yeah.
no one should ever see because
Never mind, my most anticipated.
Fuck those movies. Fuck those movies so hard, they're bad. But yeah, I think I'm more excited to see her reactions to going to the theater with her.
Oh, you don't have a movie in mind?
I don't. Well, I mean,
You
yeah,
didn't say Toy Story 4.
That's how I feel
I'll
about it
say
too.
Toy Story 4. I'm excited for
3 was great. We should have
3
just ended
was
it there.
great, but I'm excited to see what they
I'm okay.
have in store.
They haven't fucked up Toy Story yet, and I don't think they will.
I
I
don't
think
think
it's
so.
the one franchise that they have to
I
keep
think
on
they love
knocking
it
it out
so
of the
much
park.
that there's no way. How to Train Your Dragon, I cannot wait. Obviously, Avengers.
Yeah.
Sure.
I keep
Yeah, Endgame,
losing
of
sleep.
course.
I want to see
I'm excited about
Captain Marvel.
Yeah.
See,
think
I don't care about that right
see,
now.
I don't
I
either,
do.
but that actually I don't care about it. But that's actually what's more exciting to me is that I don't have any. I'm not going into
Yeah.
this with anything.
Yep.
It's kind of like Ant-Man when it first came
See-
out, where I was just like, okay, whatever. Let's see an Ant-Man movie.
I have the same wanting to see ambitions of Captain Marvel that I do of Shazam. They're just both like they're
See,
there.
I'm not excited.
Oh,
for
no,
Shazam. At all.
Shazam
I
is-
just think it looks like shit.
See, I don't think so.
That's one I'm okay
I
missing.
think Shazam's gonna be fun.
I think it is too.
I hope so because the DCEU needs something fun.
Right.
We haven't had that ever.
It's a superhero big. I'm okay with that. Aquaman is fun-ish.
Fun.
Aquaman is-
I love it. You can't even come out and say, yeah, you know what? That's fun.
I will give you that the scene where he's going down into
Just a trench.
the trench.
Yeah.
All those things coming around him. That looks
Awesome.
Awesome.
It's fantastic.
That's the only good thing about that movie. Everything else sucked. I
Alright,
hated
well-
that movie.
well,
anyway,
What about you, John?
The 3 I had highlighted were Godzilla.
Oh, I forgot.
Oh,
about
you're a big
actually,
Godzilla
I
guy.
actually am excited to see that movie.
That one I just hope is a monster romp
Yeah, I
done
hope
well.
There's just so many monster fights.
we'll see.
The first one is so mediocre
Well-
that I can't help but like just have hesitance for this next
The
one.
problem with that one, the first one, was that it just did not give enough monster fights.
Nope.
Like, it did
And-
not have enough Godzilla, and it had way too much Aaron Taylor Johnson.
In this one, you see like, oh no, there's multiple monsters for him to fight. We have fights in this one. See,
Good.
Like, they're
I hope-
they're
I hope
trying
so.
too hard. They're trying too
No, I
hard
hope
for me.
I hope they just destroy the shit out of Tokyo.
But maybe I'm from what I've seen so far, I'm not sure if it's all monsters fighting Godzilla or if there's monsters fighting each other.
knows?
I think
Who
that's a
cares?
possibility.
It's monsters fighting.
Exactly. Next one I'm really excited for is Detective Pikachu. I think that's gonna be really
my
I'm
second.
gonna
think
take
that'll
Nat
be-
to that one too.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that was my second one. Zoe's getting so into Pokemon. I'm so
Nice.
excited. I'm gonna take her to Detective Pikachu too.
And then I wasn't initially a big fan of the first one, but that really grew on me. Now it's one of my favorite movies. I'm really excited for Lego Movie 2.
Yep.
That one's just gonna be. I think that one's gonna be.
That first movie was so tongue in cheek
Yeah.
and just had so many in jokes, and it was great. Like, I know they're not gonna go with the whole Duplo invasion thing.
I think they are.
Are they?
I think so. I think
I don't-
at least at the beginning, I think they are.
That whole ending where it's just, we come from planet Duplo, we're here to... You know,
Yeah.
that's just funny as hell. And I hope they give it at least a little bit in the second one.
Yeah,
Lord and Miller make good animated flicks.
they're not directing this one.
I don't care.
They're just producing it.
Still, they won't let it go off the rails.
I'm hoping not. And they're already like doing tongue-in-cheek humor with the doppelganger of Emmett in this
Oh,
one,
yeah.
where it's pretty much Chris Pratt in Jurassic World, where he's got like
Right.
raptor pets and
Yeah.
I have raptors and
Yeah.
do all this shit.
it's just smart humor. I love that stuff.
Yeah, and there's a
I
lot.
saved the
There's
galaxy with my friends.
still so much more to talk about, and hopefully we get to talk about in 2019 with you guys on our podcast. You can find Super Media All Stars on all your social media. You can find us on Facebook at Super Media All Stars. You can find us on Twitter at SmashPod. You can find us on Instagram at Super Media All Stars.
You can find me on Instagram at Steelbook Obsessed, and you can also find me reviewing movies over at Cinema Obsessed. I just put up my review for Escape Room today, so have fun with that.
Very nice.
Not great. Now, the review's probably fine. The
You'll
movie
see.
is probably
No, I
not
get it.
great.
Yeah.
You can find Super Media All Stars on all your podcast services, and be sure to check us out on YouTube as well. We post all our content there as well as Cinema Obsessed. Be sure to check out that channel as well. Please like and subscribe. Guys, I thank you for joining me today. Audience, thanks for watching and listening. We'll see you next time.